endless skies. Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained I thrive, I thrive.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Nomads 50 Plus. My name is Chris Kalaboukis, and it's my mission to interview 1,000 digital nomads. That's right, folks, 1,000 digital nomads on what it's like to get into the digital nomad life. And so it's not so scary for people out there who are thinking about getting into it. And today we have a very special guest. And why don't you tell us a little bit your name, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and how you got into the life.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris, for having me on. I really appreciate that. My name is Jim, and I'm known on social media as Nomad Jim.
Nice.
And
Good branding.
yeah, so I am a retired minimalist, solo, full-time slow traveler. So
Nice.
all five of those.
I like that.
And I've been doing this for 3 years now, and deciding to do it was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Hmm.
And I am probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. I have to
Nice.
say that.
Well, I got to say, everybody I've ever interviewed, they're all so overjoyed with the life that they're living. It's just great. So
Yeah.
let's do that again. So you said minimalist,
Yeah. I'm
solo,
retired.
retired,
Yeah.
and then what was the last one? Or there was a couple. There was one more.
Retired,
Solo,
minimalist, solo, full-time, slow
full time,
traveler.
full time. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I want to bang on the minimalist for a second. So have you always
Okay.
been a minimalist, or did you become a
Mm,
minimalist in the process of becoming a nomad?
Yeah, I think it's more that. I've never been somebody to have lots of stuff.
Right.
In my house, I never had a whole lot of stuff in the house. But how I kind of back it up a little bit to tell you a little bit about how I got into this
Please.
is that growing up, I always loved traveling. We did a lot of road trips when I was a child, and I always enjoyed traveling, and I knew that was something I was going to want to do as an adult as
Mm,
well. So during my working years, I did a lot of traveling internationally. I started doing that and really enjoyed it. And anytime I had some vacation time, I would go someplace in the world and experience it with, whatever short amount of time that I had.
nice.
So
Were you traveling
when
for
I,
work most of the time, or
no, most of the time not. Yeah, most of
nice?
the time when I was traveling, it was mostly in the US. So I never really got to travel outside the US for work. But I definitely found that I enjoyed being outside the US and traveling and seeing different places a lot more.
Mm,
So so I was doing this a lot, while I was still working, and I knew when I retired that I was going to want to travel even more. So I had already put it in my head that the earliest that I can possibly retire, that's when I'm going to do it.
right.
I'm going to be ready for it. And so for me, that was the age of 56.
Nice.
And so,
Congratulations, I have to say that. Well done. Do
thank you.
you remember those
So,
old Freedom 55 commercials?
yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Not everybody can
So,
can make that happen.
right. So I had planned for it so that, I was ready financially, I was ready mentally for it. And so I did at 56. And this was at the end of December of 2019.
Mm,
So I had my first big trip as a retired person was 7 weeks around the world in the Southern Hemisphere.
nice.
So that's what I did in January and February of 2020.
Oh boy.
Now, you know what happened after that.
Yep.
So,
Small interruption to your plans.
yeah, exactly. So I come back from this trip. Fortunately, I was able to complete it. And as soon as I got back, everything shuts down.
Mm.
So it was very frustrating. I'm retired. I got all the time in the world and I can't go anywhere.
Oh no.
So yeah, so I waited it out like we all did, and eventually things got better, of course. And then I started doing, more traveling again. And I started realizing that I would be gone for maybe a month or something like that, and then I'd come back, and it would be like about 2 or 3 weeks. And I was just like, I want to go somewhere else. I don't want to be here. I want to go travel somewhere again.
Itchy feet, as some people would call it.
Yeah, exactly. So I realized that, I was not spending a lot of time at home
Mm,
and started wondering about why do I have a house
right.
that I don't spend much time in? And, when I'm away, I'm worried about it. What's going on there? Is there a pipe that busts and I've got water all over the place or
Yeah.
whatever? I had people that could kind of watch it a little bit,
Sure.
for me, but still, that worry is in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
So
Where in the
that was
country
another
is it? Where in
thing.
the country? Where's your house?
I was in the Washington, D.C. area.
Okay. So yeah, you do get weather there. There
Oh
is
yeah,
weather.
we did. We definitely did. So I started thinking about, why I have a house and maybe I don't really need it. And at that time, it was a seller's market.
Hmm.
And I started thinking about it seriously. It's like, I could probably sell this house. And the values had gone way up from when I bought it. And so I put my house on the market and it sold in 5 days.
Wow.
And I got 50,000 more than I asked for it. So it was
Nice.
like, wow, it just happened very fast. So because of that, I now had to make a decision about what do I do with all my stuff.
Right.
So this is kind of where I started to get to be more of a minimalist.
Mm.
And that was that I was selling the house, I sold my car, and then I ended up donating pretty much everything else that I owned. There were a few things I sold on Facebook Marketplace, but that takes a lot of time and energy to do. So there was a few things I did that way, but most of it I just donated. That was
Yeah.
just the easier thing to do. But there were things that at that time I was like, I'm not sure that I want to part with these things.
Right.
And there was also a thought of, well, what if this doesn't work out? What if I don't really like it after I've been out for 6 months and I go, okay, that's enough. I don't want to do
But
this
by that
anymore.
time, you'd been doing a lot of traveling, so you knew that's what you wanted to do. You still
I
had that
figured,
nagging doubt.
I figured that, yeah, but it's in the back of your mind. It's like, well, this is going to be different,
Yeah.
and it is. It's very different from when you're doing, vacations.
Right.
So I decided maybe I should get a storage unit.
Hmm.
So I did that. I got a storage unit. It was a small one, but nevertheless, it was chock full of stuff, that I
Right.
was thinking that, if things don't work out, I can at least start over again. I've got some stuff to start over again with. So that's kind of what I did. And then, I had this storage unit, and the business model for these storage unit places is you get somebody in there at a really low rate, teaser rate.
Hmm.
And then after a few months, you start jacking up the rent.
Right.
And that's what happened with me. Every 3 months or so, I would get a notice that, oh, your rent is going up $30 a month, or it's
Really? They
going
can
up
do it that
$40
often?
a month.
I guess
Yeah,
it's not like a rental property or anything like that. They can
no,
up it anytime
they
they
can do
want.
it anytime they want, and they do.
Mm.
So after about 2 years of this, my rent had doubled. And I said, that's enough. I'm not doing this. Because I had kind of also found out every time that I would come back to this storage unit that I would look at it and go like, what am I doing with all this stuff? I really don't need all of this. And by that time I had realized I really liked what I was doing. I was enjoying being a nomad.
Nice.
So I said, I can get rid of most of this stuff. I know I can. And so that's what I did. I got rid of almost all of it, closed out that unit, and then I contacted my parents, and I knew they had a small storage shed in their backyard. And I said, "Do you have any space in there that I could put a few items, And they said, well, we have a grill. We're going to be pulling the grill out of there and giving it to your sister.
There you
So there'll
go.
be a space in the back that's about the size of a grill." And I said, you know what? That's just the size I need. That's
Nice.
the footprint of a grill. That's
Perfect.
all I've got, so that's where I put those items there.
Nice.
And it's funny how now, even when I go back to visit, I go through that stuff and I'm still getting rid of things and
Yeah.
thinking, I don't need this. I can do without this, so it's still getting even smaller and smaller, you
Nice,
know.
nice. So when you were first going to do this, like, what did your friends and family think when you said, "I'm going to do this"? Or they say, "Oh, that guy's crazy. Jim's crazy. What's he doing? Why is he doing this?"
Well,
Did
most
anybody say anything
people.
like that to you when you were thinking about it?
Not so much. I mean,
Mm.
they already knew the fact that I love to travel. They were very aware of that, and so they thought, well, this kind of fits with your personality. This is kind of
That's
what you
good.
do, and like one of my friends told me, she says, Jim, I think it's almost like you've been training for this your whole life.
Right.
And I thought that's a good way of looking at it. It kind of
Nice.
is. So um, most people were on board with it and said, "Hey, more power to you. Hope you enjoy it." I had a few friends who were, being realists about it and saying, "Well, you really sure you want to get rid of your house? I
That's a
mean, what
really nice
happens?"
way of putting it.
Yeah,
Realist.
I mean, yeah. So, what if this doesn't work out and you got to come back, and you don't have a house? And I said, well, if that does happen, I can always get another place. It's not like
Exactly.
I can't get a place. And if I did, it would be a lot smaller than where I was.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't really a concern about my, not having the house and having to start over with something new, maybe.
Yeah. And
So,
it didn't
once
matter
I
whether you sold a house or not. You still had enough funds to travel and do everything you wanted to do, right?
It is true. Yeah. And I did consider for a while, maybe renting it out or something
Sure.
like that, doing an Airbnb sort of a thing with
Hmm.
it. But then you got property managers, you've got a lot of things to deal with. It's
Yeah.
costly.
Yeah.
And then those worries that I had in the back of my mind all the time, I still have them because I
They'd be
still have a
worse
property.
because you
Yeah,
have somebody
exactly.
in there.
Exactly. There's even more things that could happen. So that's where I said, no, I think I want to part with this and just not
Nice.
have the house at all.
So
That's kind of where that decision.
are you the kind of person who to not have real emotional attachments to things, or did you have some emotional
Yeah.
attachments to things that you had to get rid of?
Yeah, for the most part, I really don't have those emotional attachments because that was another thing that a lot of people would say to me is like, well, just think about your house and all of the memories there and everything. And I was like, yeah, okay. It's like, yeah, I guess, but I can still have those
The memories are
memories
still in
without.
your head.
Exactly. I don't have to have the house to have the memories,
Exactly.
so it was like, yeah, I could do without that. And, I didn't have an emotional attachment to my sofa or anything like that. It was like,
Yeah.
whatever,
Hmm.
so it was perhaps easier for me than for some people. I do know some people struggle with it because they have emotional attachments to things. And there are things that are heirlooms or those kind of things that might be difficult to part with. And so, yeah, I can understand how that can be difficult. But the thing about it is, I mean, once you do let go of all of these things, it is so liberating.
Yep.
I mean, it's hard to explain when you start to think about, I really don't miss those things. I
Mm.
don't miss them. I feel so much freer because I don't have to think about them or worry about them or manage them anymore. It's a really great feeling to
Yeah.
not have things
Yeah, I think for
like
some
that.
people it's like an anchor holding you back. Like once you free yourself, and sometimes you do go through that period of mourning. It's like, well, I don't have this
Mm,
thing anymore. But what you get on the
right.
other side is just so much greater than what you had just holding onto that thing all this time.
It is. I agree with that. And I think that is indeed one of those things that kind of holds people back. They just don't want to let go of their stuff.
Yeah.
We become um the stuff becomes us, it's part of us, and to get rid of it is yeah, you kind of go through a mourning period there. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things that if you take that step and get to the other side where you don't have those things, it really is liberating. It truly is.
So how many years did you have a place, and how many years have you not had a place?
Um, the house that I sold I had been living in there for, I think, about 13 years.
Hmm.
And I had had houses before that in different places that I had lived. I lived in San
Sure.
Diego for 15 years. I had a house there, had two houses there. Um, so I had been a homeowner for, I don't know, 20, 25 years, maybe,
Hmm.
something like that.
So you, of
So,
course, you went through a succession of homes that, of course.
right,
Yeah.
right. And, it was great. I enjoyed having those homes and everything. But since selling this house, that was in the summer of 2022. So it's been 3 years now that I have not had a house. And it's really not bothered me. I
Mm.
thought at first, I wondered, when I come back after I've been traveling and I'm back in the US, and am I going to be like, I feel like I need to go to my house or someplace, is it gonna be a problem? It
Right.
wasn't. It wasn't at all. I didn't have those strange feelings or anything like that. And I think part of it is too that something that I've learned as a nomad is about what home is.
Mm.
Um, we tend to think of home as a house, a property, a physical thing that we live in. But I think that I've come to realize home is not a place, it's a state of mind.
Mm.
And you can really make any place you are in the world feel like home. And that's kind of what I've learned how to do. There's things that you can do to kind of make yourself feel comfortable, make yourself feel like it's a home for you. So by doing that, I think that I don't really miss not having that physical house
Right.
to go
It's kind of
back
almost like
to.
you've internalized home into yourself. So it's wherever you lay your hat, right? Basically is where you
Exactly.
are.
Yeah. Wherever I am, that's my home, and it feels comfortable that way for
Awesome.
me.
So how long do you usually stay in a particular place?
Well, I usually will try to stay for 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes a little longer than that. I mentioned that I'm a slow traveler,
Hmm.
and that's one of those kind of subjective type of things. I mean, everybody's got their own definition of what that means. I mean, for some people, they will say, well, if you're not spending at least a month in a place, you're not slow traveling.
Right.
But, I
Everyone's
don't,
got these rules, right? It's like, oh,
yeah,
you can't do this, you
exactly.
can't do this.
It's
You
like,
can't call yourself that.
right. Who made this up? So, I look at it less quantitatively and more qualitatively, I think,
Mm.
in that I if I feel like I have enough time to do the things beyond what you would do on a vacation, because that's really what you're doing when you're a nomad and you're traveling. You're not on a vacation. It's
Yep.
very different from a vacation.
Hmm.
And if you're able to do the type of things that you normally do in your life, and you have plenty of time to do that. You feel comfortable. You're able to enjoy your hobbies, whatever they may be in whatever new location. Then, you're slow traveling,
Mm.
and so I feel most of the time that's kind of how I am traveling. And essentially what I'm doing is I simply am picking up my ordinary life and dropping it into whatever location that I'm in.
Really? So the same things
So
that you normally do wherever you are, you just continue doing them. Just change the
exactly.
location. Interesting.
Right. So, and that's how, full-time travel, nomadic travel is different from a vacation,
Mm.
because, with a vacation, you have your things in mind that you're going to do there, and you generally have a limited amount of time to do it. And so you jam pack every day with all of these activities and these tours and sightseeing and everything like that,
Yep.
and you're just go 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 all the time. You don't really have a chance to just live your normal life. And that's how it is. When I was working, that's how I traveled too.
Exactly.
We all do that.
Yeah,
You
you got to
have don't
pack
have a
in as
lot of
much
time.
experience as you can in this little tiny period
Yeah,
of time.
you have a very short period of time to do it, so you might as well get the most out of it. And so people are used to that kind of travel,
Mm.
and that's what they think of when they think of being away from home. That's the only thing they have to go on is what a vacation is like. So when
Yep.
I tell them I'm a full-time traveler, they think I'm on full-time vacation. So they think it's
Well,
like
once you're
this
retired, that's the mindset people have, right? It's like, oh,
yeah,
you're on
it's
a
this
full-time vacation. You don't, yeah.
nonstop adventure and nonstop, excitement.
Is
Wow,
he
every
he's
day is
backpacking up Everest again next week?
yeah, exactly. So I'll have, I'll be messaging with a friend or something and they'll say, like, so what fun, exciting thing are you doing today? And I'll say, well, I'm doing laundry and I'm going to the grocery store. Maybe I'll get a drink and, walk and
But I'm
sit in the
going to
park
the
for a
grocery
while.
store in Lisbon, or I'm going to the grocery
Yes.
store in Singapore or whatever.
That's the difference. It's ordinary life lived in extraordinary settings.
I love it. I love it.
So,
But you
you know,
do go to places like when you go to some places, you still want to visit the sites that you
absolutely.
want to see. You just don't
Sure.
compact it in that same amount of time,
Exactly.
right?
So let's say I'm going to stay someplace. Well, let's say like here. I'm currently in Armenia,
Mm,
and I'm here for a week. So I don't need 7 days to see the things that I am wanting to see here. You
right.
know, I can do that in 2 days.
Mm,
And most people, if they were going to come here on a vacation, that's what they would do. They'd be here 2 or 3 days and then they would move on
yep.
to
Here's
someplace
my
else.
5 things I need to see. Bing, 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 bing.
Exactly. So generally, that's kind of what happens. When you first arrive in a new location, you kind of are focused on seeing those things. It's new for you. You want to see those things you've heard about,
Yeah.
those sites that everybody talks about or whatever. And you do that. Yeah, you do those kind of things. But then after that, then you just live.
Mm.
You're just living in that location.
So that is that what
It's
you do? You kind of front load everything you want to see. So when you first got to Armenia, you said, okay, here's the 5 or 6 things I want to see, and you do those in the first few days or whatever, and then the rest of the
generally.
time you just have it all booked out. Is that right?
Yeah, generally that's kind of how I roll. And it kind of depends. Like a few weeks ago, I was in Warsaw,
Mm.
Poland,
Somewhere I've
and
always wanted to visit. What
yeah,
did you think about it? Did you like it?
yeah, I liked it. It's really it's a very pretty green city, very modern. Lots
Mm.
of skyscrapers, lots of tall modern
Cool.
buildings, and a very nice old town area as well. But when I first got there, the weather was just terrible. It was crappy.
Ew.
And I looked at the forecast and it showed that Saturday and Sunday were like going to be awesome days. So
Mm.
I said, okay, well, because I got there on a Wednesday. So I said, okay, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm just going to hang in, kind of not do too much outside and that kind of thing. I'll hold off until Saturday and Sunday. And that's what I did. And it was glorious weather. Both of
Nice.
those days, it was just perfect.
Well, when
And
you're going to
so
be at a place
that's,
for a week or 2 weeks, you've got that flexibility because you don't
you
have to worry
do.
about packing it in on a day when the weather is terrible.
Exactly. So that's what I did. And okay, the sightseeing days are going to be those 2 days. And that was fine. Monday was terrible weather again, so it was perfect. The weekend was just right. So, those other days I am doing other things. I like to do some writing. I have a Substack
Hmm.
publication. I have a YouTube channel that I also, make videos for that. So I was doing a little editing on videos and, things like that to keep me busy. So I have these things as hobbies that I enjoy doing. And so on the days when I'm not sightseeing, those are kind of things that I would maybe be doing with my time or just just hanging out in a park.
Nice.
Just the
Just
enjoyment of
living, basically,
yes,
like the
it's
rest of
just
us.
right. It's just the enjoyment of I can just hang out here for a couple hours and just people watch and enjoy the weather or whatever and
Oh my God, that
have
sounds
a
so liberating. I would love to be able to do
yeah,
that.
exactly. It is wonderful. So, and that's really what, most of the days are like. There are those days where you're doing your hobby type things that you like to do, or you're just doing this, I'm just hanging out. I'm just enjoying being in this place, this awesome place, but I'm not sightseeing in it. I'm going to a park that the locals go to
Nice.
and just hanging out there and seeing what the locals do,
How do you decide where you're going to go and how long to go for? Because so you're in Armenia now. Like, where are you going next? Have you already planned that out and you know how long you're going to be there?
Yeah, I'm a planner. I'm
Yeah.
not a real spontaneous person. I know people who do this. They're like, well, I haven't decided where I'm going to go next week, but I'll figure that
So I'm just
out,
going to fly to Bali with no plans and see what
Yeah,
happens.
I mean, I kind of wish I could do that, because it would be exciting, to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not built that way. I'm just I like having plans.
Yeah,
I
I need a
like to
little plan
know.
too. I think I have to
Yeah.
have some plan, especially now, because I mean, in the past, like pre-internet days, it was probably you had to do things more spontaneously because it was difficult to do it. But now you can pretty much plan your entire itinerary, a months in advance if you wanted to, right?
And that's generally what I do.
Mm,
I'm usually like I do about 6 months in advance if I can do that.
nice.
And what I've been kind of focusing on these first 3 years of being a nomad is kind of going to places that I haven't been to before.
Mm,
There's, plenty of places that I haven't gone to, and I was just wanting to experience them. Some of them I w knew right away there would be places that I really would like, and I really wanted to spend some time in them. So some of those I spent, 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe even a month
mm,
in them. And then there were other areas or other places where I thought, well, it's probably not a place I want to spend a month in.
right.
A week is probably going to be enough. And it's kind of like a sampler. I
Mm,
can kind of check it out, see what it's like, and then move on to the next place. And if I happen to be there and go like, whoa, I, this is a lot more than I thought. I really love this place. I want to come back here. And then,
mm.
I'll put that on my list of
Oh,
places
so
to
you
return.
don't actually
I,
extend your stay. You put it on your list for
no,
to come back. Okay.
yeah, because generally I've already made my plans. So I'm already got it all, set out what I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to be going. So that's the negative of, not being spontaneous is I can't add a few more days on, unfortunately.
So do
But
you go to contiguous places? Because I think that probably if things are right beside each other. So like maybe you're in Georgia, then you're in Armenia, then you're in Turkmenistan, and then you're in. So all these places are generally. Is that what you normally do, or do you hop around?
I usually do try to get, places that are kind of close together and kind of go like that. And that
Right.
is actually what I am doing here. Last week I was in Georgia,
Hmm.
and this week I'm in Armenia, and next week I'll be in Azerbaijan.
Nice.
So I'm hitting all these three Caucasus countries.
So
Uh,
you kind of make your way across without jumping of, from place to
yeah,
place. Yeah.
for the most part. Now, after Azerbaijan, I'm going to be going to Nepal. So that's a
Mm.
little bit of a
It's still
jump.
over on that side of the world. It's like you're not
Yeah,
coming
it
back to
is. It
California
is
or anything
still,
like that.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, most of the time I am kind of traveling in that way. I try to do it that way because that makes it, cheaper, easier to do. You don't spend as much time on a plane, and it is more cost effective to kind of do it that way. So I generally am doing that. But, beyond the going to places that I hadn't been to before, the other thing is that kind of determines is weather.
Mm.
Um, I'm not a cold weather person anymore. I had enough
Join the club,
winters.
man.
Yeah,
I totally
I
feel
had
it.
enough winters when living in the DC area. Not that they have a really bad, compared to
Yeah,
to New
supposedly
England or
it's a
someplace
tropical
like.
climate. I heard it's subtropical, but I don't believe it for a second.
No, I mean, it's actually, if you want to live someplace that has four distinct seasons and none of them are extreme,
Yeah,
then the DC area is actually quite a nice place to live for that
exactly right.
reason. But even though it wasn't extreme winter, it was more than enough for me,
Yeah,
you know. So I've kind of like, hey, I can choose now where I am during winter, and I've decided that Southeast Asia is a lot better than the DC area for
right.
winter. So that's
Smart.
kind of a determining thing for me too. And also, concerning Southeast Asia, it's like they have a definite rainy season in
Hmm.
different places. So I don't want to be there in the rainiest time of the year. I don't mind a little rain, but if it's the monsoon season, no, I don't really want to be there at that time. So that kind of determines also where I'm going to go and when I'm going to go to different places.
So when you first decided to sell your house and go, and you were a full nomad, what was the thing that surprised you the most? Like, was there anything that surprised you?
Um, I think probably the first thing was that thing we kind of talked about earlier about what it's really like.
Right.
Because I had the same impression too. I thought this was going to be kind of like a vacation,
Hmm.
and I realized that pretty quickly that it's like I'm going to burn out if I do a vacation, nonstop vacation. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of learned that um, no, that's not how it works. And I realized no, it's just your normal life. So that was something I learned. There was a surprise to me. Another thing that I had to learn was about how to eat.
Mm.
Um,
Wait, we've been
it,
eating all our lives. We have to learn
yeah,
again, learn how to do
exactly.
that again?
You have to relearn it because um, when you go on a vacation, generally you're like, hey, you throw caution to the wind. You
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
that's right. I'm on vacation.
I can eat
Another slice
whatever
of
I
pie.
want. I can always buckle down when I get back home if I put on a few pounds, whatever. But when you're traveling full time, you don't have that
Mm.
break where you
Hmm.
can kind of catch up or whatever. So I realized that pretty early. The first place that I went to as a nomad was Turkey.
Mm.
I spent two
The food
months in
must have been
Turkey.
fantastic. It must have
Yeah,
been
and that was
amazing.
that was the thing. I was like, I was eating this great food, and even though it's very healthy food, I was starting to put on some pounds, and I
Mm.
was like, this is not going to work long term. This is not going to work for
Because you
me.
end up eating in restaurants all the time, right?
Exactly.
On vacation.
Yeah, and I'm not a cook. I don't cook much, so I have occasionally, when I'm staying in an Airbnb apartment or something, occasionally we'll cook something, but generally I don't. I go out to restaurants because I'm just not much of a cook.
Right.
So that was the thing too. I was always eating at restaurants. So I realized that if I just had a simple breakfast in the morning and then went out for a late lunch someplace, that was all I needed. I
Mm.
didn't really need to have dinner. I could cut that meal out. And so I discovered that I still felt like I had plenty of energy. I could, still felt full. Um, I wasn't feeling like I was starving or anything like that. And I was doing just fine. And it was keeping my weight in check, so
Excellent.
that worked a lot better. So that was a learning curve there for, learning how to eat when you're traveling full time.
Wow. But see, I would think that, but since you're not much of a cook, so you wouldn't have cooked it yourself. But I guess anybody who can cook would probably go out to a grocery store and buy a bunch of groceries and have meals at home if they were doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do grocery shop for, things like for breakfast
Hmm.
or snacks. I do, like healthy type snacks with nuts or fruits or things like that, in between the meals. So I do, go to the grocery store and I enjoy doing that. But yeah, if I were a cook, I could, easily see that that would be an exciting thing to do. I would imagine to go to the grocery stores in different countries
Oh
and
yeah.
see what they have,
Yeah.
to
Sometimes I
and
do that
try.
and I'm like, oh God, I wish we lived here so that we could
Yeah, yeah, I
get
can
all this
imagine.
amazing food.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit. So you mentioned you retired at what would you say 56? Is that right?
56, yes.
56. So at that point you figured you had enough saved up like to go on for the rest of your life plus travel?
Yeah, and that was the thing. I had being a planner, I was planning that sort of thing out as well. It's like, am I going to be able to afford this? And um, I had my estimates in mind about how much I thought it was going to cost me. And before I retired, I never saw myself actually doing what I'm doing now. I kind
Right.
of looked at it. My estimates were more like, I'm going to do this half of the year, six
Mm,
months out of the year. So that's kind of what I estimated it on.
yeah.
And so I did the calculations and it was like, I can afford this. I can do this. I'm ready to retire. I have enough money to do it and to live comfortably. I know a lot of people like to, budget travel and pinch pennies all the time. And I understand that if that's how you need to travel, that's fine. Do what you have to do in order to do it. But I looked at it as, I'm retired. This is the part of my life where I can enjoy myself.
Hmm.
I want to enjoy it. I'm not going to be extravagant, but I want to be comfortable and be able to enjoy it in a comfortable way. So I want to have enough money that I can do that. I'll be able to afford to do that. So my estimates showed me that I could do that, for 6 months out of the year.
Right.
Well, as it turns out, I really wildly overestimated what I needed. So when it came time to do 12 months out of the year, I was fine,
Yeah.
with what I had estimated was, it's like, especially if you're spending time in low cost kind of areas like Southeast Asia, Latin America, Eastern
Yep.
Europe, they're just so much more affordable than what you're thinking, things are, certainly compared to the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. We have this
So,
weird perception of what things cost here, but when you leave, it's usually so much cheaper. Of course, some
yeah,
places in Europe and other places it is pretty expensive, but
it
in the
can
rest of
be,
the
yeah.
world, it's definitely not as expensive as we think.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that kind of is holding people back sometimes from deciding to be a nomad is they look at it and go like, that's just too expensive of a lifestyle. I could never do that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can make it work. And like I said, there are people who are on a really strict budget and they make it work,
Hmm.
so it's possible to do. It's one of those things you shouldn't let talk you out of
Yeah. No, I've
being a
talked to people
nomad.
of all different socioeconomic scales, right? There's people who don't make a lot of money. They never made a lot of money. And there's others who've made a lot of money. And they're all saying, wow, this is easily doable. Easily
Yeah,
doable. Yeah.
that's very true. Very true. Yeah.
Awesome. So you don't feel the need to actually supplement your income now. So you're okay. So, but you do
Yeah.
some things to supplement, right?
I don't.
You don't.
Actually, I do not.
Everything's a
I
hobby. I
have
love it, man. I want your life.
I always said when I retired, I said, I want to be in a place that I don't have to work. If I
Mm,
want to work, I can do it,
right.
but I don't want to have to work. And if I am in a situation like that, that's how I want to be.
Right.
I want to be where I don't ever have to work another day of my life if I choose not to. And so that's where I am. That's how I am. And I don't have I have a YouTube channel and it is monetized barely, but you could not live off of the amount that I make
Most of
off
us
of that.
content
That's
creators cannot live
no,
off of
no.
creating content.
And I never wanted it to be that sort of a thing. It was just it's a thing to do to share my knowledge and my experiences. So it was never about money anyway. So
Yeah.
um, it's really the money thing is fine. I'm comfortable with that, and I don't need to work, and
Awesome.
that's also a very good feeling. Yes.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's kind of like you said, it's inexpensive. So people think you don't need to make as much money. So if you don't have a huge pile of cash holding you back, it's still not that expensive. So you don't really need to make a lot in order to
Yeah,
travel.
exactly. Yeah. And I think, people, you make it work the way that it'll work for you.
Right.
If you find that you only have enough money to travel 4 months out of the year, then do that.
Yep. But
Uh,
then are you really a digital nomad? No, I'm kidding.
whatever. Let's dispense with these definitions. So,
Exactly. So
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about healthcare. So how are things? So you don't have a base here in the U.S., but I'm assuming you're getting healthcare wherever you are. What do you have any stories about getting healthcare and how that works?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I still do have health insurance in the US so
Hmm.
that when I'm back there, if I need to go to a doctor or whatever, I can still do that.
Right.
But yeah, I had watched a lot of videos from different nomads talking about their experiences with healthcare in other parts of the world. And I think it's one of those things that we're told in the US that we have the best healthcare in the world, and as soon as you
Good
step off the
marketing.
ship, yeah, that you get out of the US and everything just drops. The
Mm,
standard of everything just drops. And people will tell me that sometimes, traveling is like, "Well, aren't you worried about, what if something happens to you?" And I think that's another thing that keeps people from being a nomad is they worry about that. What if I get sick? What
mm,
if something happens? And because they have that mindset of, well, if it happens, then I'd have to fly all the way back to the US because I couldn't possibly get, decent healthcare anywhere else. And, there's this thinking, I guess, of, well, if I'm in Malaysia or something like that and I have to go to a doctor, I mean, maybe they have hospitals there. I guess maybe they have hospitals. And if they do, they're probably like in some Quonset hut out in the jungle,
mm.
with
And everything has to be
rusty,
paid for with cash. And
yeah, and it's, rusty, medical equipment and the doctors, who knows where the
yeah, the
doctors
witch
were
doctors are
educated
dancing
at.
around with feathers in their
I
hair. And so,
mean, who knows? I mean, why would
yeah.
you want to even like that? So you get those images in your mind. But, I'm seeing these videos of people talking about that, how they have these great experiences. And so the first time I went to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, I had seen a lot of people talking about getting a comprehensive health screening there.
Mm,
So I said, I'm going to be going there. I'm going to make an appointment and check this thing out because everybody's talking about it. It's like, hey, why not? I'm going to give it a try. So I did. I made an appointment at Prince Court Medical Center there in Kuala Lumpur, KL, as they
hmm.
call it. And so I go there, I show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they take my blood, they take urine sample, then they take you around all the different things that you normally do for a physical, your eyes and your ear, your hearing and all that kind of stuff, EKG. And then I got to do a stress test on a treadmill, for my heart.
Hmm.
They did an ultrasound of my abdomen, and then they're looking for abnormalities in your organs. They did a bone density scan. And these are things that you're not going to get in a normal physical in the US. Okay. This
Absolutely.
is
You never leave the room that the doctor steps into.
no, this is a way above and beyond
Mm,
what you would normally get. Um, so they escorted me around all these different places, and it's a well-oiled machine. I mean, they got this thing down. They're very efficient with it. So by the end of the morning, I was done with all of the different tests and things like that. So I went to lunch. And then I came back after lunch and met with a dietitian to talk about my results. And yeah, a few hours later, all of the results are there. All of
wow.
my lab tests, all of the things that were done, it's all typed up in this nice little booklet for you that you can take home with you.
Wow. Nice.
And I was like, okay. And so I'm talking to this dietitian, um, and it was like, I've never talked to a dietitian before. This is a
Hmm.
new experience for me. And so she's going over my results and saying, well, here's some things maybe you could work on with your diet and with your, you could do some more exercise or whatever. Really good advice, really great things to know. And it's that proactive kind of thing. Let's try
Mm,
to prevent bad things from happening, which in the US, it's kind of the other way around. It's more
yeah,
reactive.
we don't do that
Like,
kind of stuff here.
let's just wait until
Hopefully we
something bad
will at some
happens.
point, but
Yeah.
not right
Oh,
now.
something bad has happened to you? Okay,
Yeah.
here, take this drug.
Yeah, that's right.
That's generally what it is. So, yeah, so I had this meeting with the dietitian, and then after that, I meet with the doctor, and he goes over all the results with me
Wow.
and gives me, his assessment of things. And if there's something of concern, they can make an appointment to meet with a specialist. And it's not going to be 3 weeks later or 2 months later like it would be in the US. It's like, we can have it tomorrow morning.
Wow.
It's like, okay, great. So, when I left from there, it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon when it was done, and everything is done. So in
Mm,
6 hours, you have done everything. You've done all of the tests. You've gone over all the results. It's like virtually impossible for something like that to happen in the US.
Wow.
Okay.
No, there's no way that would happen.
No,
No
it
way.
would never,
Not
never.
possible. It might happen, but it would be stretched out over like 6 to 8 months for moving
Exactly.
from one specialist
Yeah.
to the next, and then, oh, can I get an appointment here? Oh, no, no, he's
No,
busy, blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't be able to get it
six
all done at
hours
once.
never would happen in 6 hours. So when I left from there, the doctor said, "See you next year." And I said to myself, "Yeah, you are going to see me next year because
Okay, I need the
this is where
contact
I'm coming.
information for this place.
This is this is where I'm coming for my
That's a
health
reason to
screenings
go,
from
man.
now
That's a
on."
total reason to go.
Yes. So yeah, I was hooked then. I was like, wow, this is excellent. I mean, thinking about how much more information I get from a health screening like that compared to the physical, which is so basic
Oh, yeah.
in comparison. I mean, it just there's no comparison
Yeah.
between the two.
We should
And
do
then on
that
top of it,
here. And the reason
I
why we don't do
know
that here is, like you said before, it's not healthcare, it's sick care. Or it's like we wait until you're sick,
it
and
is.
then we'll give you some drugs. And this is
Exactly.
this is
That's
so much better.
exactly what
Now,
it
I'm
is.
assuming you're going to give me the kicker and tell me how much this was.
Yeah, and you're going to be really surprised about how expensive this is.
Oh my God.
It's there's different packages depending on your age and your gender, but generally it's going to cost you between $300 and $400 US.
Wow.
That's it. And it's like,
That is nothing.
yeah, I mean, for the information that you get, are you kidding? I mean, that is priceless information for $300, $400.
Wow.
It's
Holy
it's
cow.
incredible.
Do
Yeah.
they do franchising? We could bring that here. It's just so good.
They really
But
should.
we have to
They
charge
really
10 times
should.
as much and people will pay.
Because I after I did that, I went to my doctor in at that time I was still seeing a doctor in DC. And I said, I just want to give you this packet to show you what happened to me when I was in Malaysia. And he looks through it and he goes, "I wish we could do this here." You know, and I'm like, yeah, I know. It's too bad. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, this is amazing experience with this health screening. So um it made me wonder about other things that I could maybe have done there. So uh, the next time I was going to be going back to KL, I was still in the US and I wanted to get my teeth cleaned. So I made an appointment with the dentist and they said, well, it's not been 6 months since your last cleaning. It's only been 5.5 months. So if you do the cleaning now, insurance is not going to cover it. So I said, okay, fine. That's okay. I'll go someplace in KL. I'm going there. So I found a dentist, went to the dentist, and it was like, just a simple teeth cleaning. And it was great. It was like
Nice.
I've never looked forward to a teeth cleaning, but I actually did it. It was really great. It was comfortable. They did an air polishing with salt crystals
Wow.
afterward.
This is like a
Yeah,
spa
and it's like,
treatment.
yeah, exactly. So, and the total cost was $60.
Wow.
And,
Man, you making me want to leave. Is it
so,
cheap to live in KL? I think maybe I want to move there. Who knows?
yeah, it is. It's very affordable. So, it's $60 for this teeth cleaning. And I started thinking about back home, if I did a teeth cleaning, insurance, I have insurance there, but it doesn't cover the whole cost. The part that I was paying was about twice that. It was like $110,
Eesh.
$120. So I'm paying more with insurance in the US than I'm paying out of pocket with no insurance in Malaysia.
Wow.
It's like, wow, and then the quality of it was on top of that better.
Amazing.
So that's when I started thinking to myself, okay, I'm not spending a lot of time in the US anymore. I certainly am not in the DC area. I really don't go back there anymore because once I got out of my storage unit, I don't really have a need to go back there.
Right.
So I started thinking, what if I moved all of my routine healthcare to KL,
Hmm.
things
Why
that
not?
I have checked on an annual basis? So earlier this year, that's what I did.
Mm.
The last time when I was in KL, I already had my health screening that I'm doing annually. I'm already doing these teeth cleanings. Every time that I go there, I get a teeth cleaning. And so I said, I'll find an eye doctor. So I found an eye doctor and went to them. Also, great experience, more doing more scans of my retina and all these kind of things, that more than what I had done in the US. Once again, a price that was cheaper than what it is in the US with insurance. And then the other thing that I have done on a routine basis is dermatology. I do a skin screening,
Hmm.
skin check,
All that's
because I've
time you
had,
spend in these sunny countries, right?
yeah. Well, several years back, I did have a little carcinoma
Oh,
on my face. So,
hmm,
not the melanoma, so it was at least not the real dangerous kind, but nevertheless, it's cancer. So I'd already kind of been on a screening schedule with the dermatologist that I had in the DC area. So I found a dermatologist there in KL and went there, had a great experience as well. So
nice,
I have now moved all of my routine healthcare to KL. That's where I do all of my routine healthcare now.
nice.
And it sounds like a strange thing, but and I had a friend of mine say to me, he said, it seems like an awful long way to go for your medical appointments, you know,
But
but
you planned yourself out so that you know you're going to be back in that area next time.
exactly.
Yeah,
And the thing is, I'm, like I said, I'm not in the DC area all that much. So when I am in the US, I'm generally out west because that's where my family is. So I'm already going to have to travel several hours to go to the East Coast to go
yeah,
see doctors there if I'm going to do that.
yeah.
I spend a lot of time in Southeast Asia, so I'm in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
I can
it's
pop
not far
down
at all
to,
to get
no,
there.
if I'm in Bangkok, it's 2.5 hour flight down to KL. So it's, I'm in the neighborhood. It kind of made sense to me. So that's what I've now started to do. I'm doing my routine healthcare in KL instead of having doctors and specialists
Yeah.
in the US to go to.
So I want to talk about something we talked about during our prep call. I think we've talked about languages because you seem like you move around from country to country. So you must be experiencing a lot of different languages. How do you do
Yeah.
with using English? Because I think you mentioned that you typically just use English everywhere.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm able to do that. I mean, we're kind of spoiled as English speakers. We can kind of get by
Right.
just speaking English in most places. Especially if you're in the tourist areas,
Mm,
you're definitely going to have no problem. You're always going to find people who speak English. Um, but if you do have some difficulties, there's always Google Translate. I've
right.
used that many times. It does work. It's interesting to have a conversation back and forth with, doing that, but it's possible to do. Um, Today for lunch here in Armenia, I went to a place. I was just kind of wandering around and I saw a line of people standing in the place, and that's
Ooh,
always a
must be
good
good
sign. You see a line, that means, okay, it's probably good.
in every
So
country. It doesn't matter which country you're in.
yeah, that's always a good indicator. So I said, okay, I'll do this. It was a place that had like shawarmas and stuff like that.
Oh, I love
So I said,
shawarma. It's the
yeah, and
best.
I was kind of in the mood for that. So I said, okay, I'll go in there. Well, there was no English speaking in there.
Oh boy.
It was, yeah, because it was a very local kind of a place. And so it was kind of
Those are the
a,
best kind. Those are absolutely the
it
best
is,
kind.
it is. And it was kind of a cafeteria style sort of thing. So it wasn't like a sit down restaurant sort of thing. So I, made my order. I kind of did a little pointing kind of thing and, that sort of thing. And I made my way through it.
Hmm.
I got what I wanted. It was a really good shawarma, by the way.
Nice.
And it worked, so even when there is a little bit of a language difficulty, you can get by doing that. And, if you're nervous about that, you can stay in the more touristy areas and you will not have any problem because people speak English everywhere. You're always going to find, I've never been to any country yet where I couldn't find somebody who spoke English. So it's not a concern to have as far as, I'm afraid to go to this place because I don't speak the language.
Right. Do you find that you bump into a lot of other expats who are doing something similar, or is it just people on vacation?
Occasionally I do run into other expats and other nomads. Um, Occasionally I will, when I first get to a place, I might want to do a tour, like
Mm,
do a day tour sort of a thing. And I have met some people on these day tours where, it's always interesting to me. I think like people will tell me, "Oh, you have such an interesting life. Oh my gosh." And then I meet people on these tours and it's like, my life's kind of boring compared to yours. It's like, wow, you really do
You
something
just go to a place
crazy.
and live your normal life while these guys are,
They're
backpacking up
doing really
Kilimanjaro.
crazy. Yeah, they're really doing it. So it's, interesting to meet people like that, that are living their own life. And like we said, there's no rules.
Yeah,
It's whatever you want to do, what you're comfortable with. You make up the rules as you go along and do it the way you want to do it.
absolutely.
So yeah, so occasionally I do run into um people who are doing similar to what I'm doing. Yeah, I do.
So have you ever had an experience where kind of like expats have ruined a place? Like I hear rumors that Lisbon and some of the other places that are supposed to be top on the list for digital nomads are now like overrun with digital nomads and everything's becomes more expensive and things like that. Have you experienced that anywhere?
Not really. I think it's kind of overblown in a way, and especially in a bigger city like Lisbon. I mean, yeah, you may have a lot of digital nomads there. You might have a lot of expats there, but there's so many other people there
Right.
that they just kind of blend in. It's not like they're sticking out, you
Yeah.
know.
So the place hasn't
And
been
it,
ruined by
yeah,
us.
so I don't see it that way. In kind of like another place that's kind of popular right now is Da Nang, Vietnam.
Oh yeah, yeah.
A lot of people are going there, digital nomads are going there. So the first time that I went there, I was kind of like, it's probably going to be, it's going to be too much. I'm
Right.
getting this image in my mind is like, it's going to be everywhere I turn, I'm going to see, Westerners,
Because
so
that's not what you want when you travel. You want to
no, of
experience
course.
the local
Right.
area. That's why when you
Exactly.
go to travel to these all these super popular tourist places, I'm like, okay, I'm in the Louvre, there's the Mona Lisa, but there's a crowd of tourists like 20
Yeah,
feet deep.
exactly. So when I went to Da Nang, I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that yes, I did see some digital nomads here and there, and I'd go to a coffee shop or whatever, and you'd see people working in there or whatever. But it was not overrun with it. It
Mm,
was it was still very local feeling. Um, so it hadn't been ruined the way that I thought maybe it had. So no, I haven't really experienced that in the places that I've gone to.
yeah,
I
because
don't
I've
see
I've been
that.
hearing that, and I'm like, I don't think so. I mean,
No,
it's sensationalism just to sell papers or get
I
people
think
to
so. I
read
think so.
articles. Yeah, because
Yeah,
there's still that
I
not
think
that
so.
many of us out there.
Right. Yes. Yes. Very true.
So unfortunately, we got to wrap up. This has been great. I want to talk to you again because we could talk for hours. We should do this again. But
Sure.
if somebody wants to get in touch with you, ask you any questions, etc., what's the best way?
Well, I do have my YouTube channel, which is Nomad Jim. I also have a Substack. It's Nomad Jim as well. So you can reach out to me at either one of those places. Check out some of my videos. I do a lot of videos about my experiences and my things that I've learned um, as a nomad, and sharing my thoughts, my reflections, and things like that. And I've been doing the YouTube thing for about a year now. And the Substack thing I just started a few months ago. So
Nice,
I've always enjoyed writing, and so I wanted to kind of get into doing that, and I'm really enjoying doing that. It's given me an opportunity to express myself in writing and get my thoughts and my reflections about things and my travels out. So
fantastic. Have you met up with
yeah.
any of your viewers on your travels, or no?
Um,
Not yet.
I don't think so. No, and I haven't been recognized or anything like that either. So uh,
Hey, there's
I'm
Nomad
not
Jim.
that. Yeah, I'm not that popular.
Let me get his
So
autograph.
yeah.
Who knows?
But
Next year you'll be swarmed. It'll be like that. Some travel influencer, like going to travel
yeah,
shows and speaking and stuff like that. It'd be great.
I doubt it. I doubt
Maybe
it.
someday, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, thank you so much. This has been great. So we'll definitely talk again. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks a lot,
Talk to
Chris.
you
I
later.
enjoyed it.
Oh,
All right.
I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained. I thrive, I thrive. Oh, I thrive, I thrive, I thrive. alive.